I'm here in this field. It's in Cheshire, but it's not a field I walk around very often. In fact, I think I've only walked the dog down this field about twice in the last 7 years. It's just, you know, it's a different way I walk. But as I was coming up this little hill here, I don't know if you can see it, it's a little tiny hill that leads from a stream at the bottom, walked across the bridge, came to this little hill. And I was walking up this hill, I suddenly got this thought came into my head, which was, God, what's the point? God, what's the point? And I don't know, it seemed to just come out of nowhere. You know, I wasn't thinking anything religious. I wasn't thinking of anything to do with desperation or anything negative at all, actually. I can't even remember what I was thinking about, but it wasn't, you know, I wasn't in any kind of state of anxiety. But this phrase, God, what's the point, came to mind. And I think, I'll have to check when I get home, I think last time I was here, which is probably 3 years ago nearly, 2.5 years ago, I think I made a video here called God, what's the point? I think. I certainly have got a video somewhere called God, what's the point? So I think what's happened is, I think I've just triggered a memory there, and it's just come up as a fragment, you know, and the fragment is that phrase, God, what's the point? But I will check when I get home. Weird that. Just thinking about free will again. Well, this idea of free will, and particularly these experiments that have been done following Benjamin Libet's original experiment. I'm sure everybody knows that by now, but Libet did this experiment. I won't bother with the details, but it demonstrated that that there's various things happening in our brain quite a long time prior to our making conscious decisions. I think it's called the readiness potential. The readiness potential starts in Libet's experiment. It's about 1/3 of a second before a decision is made. A readiness potential appropriate to that decision, you know, which is quite interesting. But lots of experiments have been done since, and I was watching a documentary with Marcus de Sautoy, who is the Simonier Chair for the Public Understanding of Science and a mathematician. His documentary, I can't remember the name of the documentary, but I'll try and find it, where he did participate in a kind of modern reworking of that using fMRI scanning rather than Benjamin Libet's equipment. And in that one, they could detect the readiness potential something like 7 seconds before he made a decision. You know, he had to choose between two options, and by looking at his brain, they knew which one he was going to choose 7 seconds before he made the choice. 7 seconds before he consciously made that choice, which is remarkable, you know, remarkable. And it made me think, obviously this is an fMRI scanner, so he's in this huge tube, you know, it's terrible. But it did make me think, you know, what will happen when those scanners become portable and, you know, like an iPod, you know, you put it in your pocket, you've got an fMRI scanner in your iPod in your pocket, and you can just put a little thing on your little cap, perhaps, like this one, which has got a network of some kind of equipment underneath it, and you can look at the screen in your iPod and it gives you a readout. You know, what would that be like if I'm about to make a decision? Here I am on this little path. You can't see, but there's a path continues that way there, and there's a little bridge there across into the field behind these trees, and I'm probably about 7 seconds away from that fork in this path here. Now suppose this camera that I'm holding in my hand right now, suppose this camera was one of these devices that's connected up to a portable fMRI scanner in my brain. Here I am walking towards it, and I'm thinking, oh, I think I'll go across that bridge and go into that field. My brain now starts somehow, I don't know, whatever's happened, my brain 7 seconds before I arrived has made that decision, but I can see on this screen here that my brain has made that decision. I can see my unconscious decision-making processes in action. So as I approach the bridge, I can decide, can I decide whether I have to take any notice of what my brain said or not? You know, can I say, oh yeah, well my brain says that 6 seconds ago I made the decision to cross this bridge, but fuck it, I'm going to go this way. You know, can I say that? Or immediately following my decision, back there in the path, immediately following that decision which flared on my screen saying I was going to cross the bridge, would that immediately have been followed by a countermanding decision, say, no you won't, you'll stand here and talk about it for a bit, and that would have been immediately followed by, oh, I'll go on, cross the bridge anyway. You know, I mean, how would that work? You know, if you had access to the non-conscious decision-making processes, just my nut in this actually. You know, what would you see? I think, would you just see a loop? Would you be frozen in time like this? I don't know. Anyhow, following the dictates of my 7-second delayed consciousness, I am indeed going to cross this little bridge, which is very pretty, isn't it? Look. Phoebe has already decided. No, I think I'll go this way, fuck it. Just past a chap when I've been walking. You might be able to see him over there in the white t-shirt behind me. I don't look at him so he doesn't know I'm talking about him. I just passed him walking his dogs and we said hello, you know as you do. And he's got a radio playing quietly in his pocket, I guess. You know, can't see it obviously, but it's a radio playing, and there's like an R&B song on there. It's all like funk and grind kind of music, but really quietly, just trickling out of it, and it's a really tinny sound, you know. It's just a weird thing to do. I mean, is it just me, or is that a weird thing to do? You know, to come out into the countryside. Admittedly, it's a countryside which should have a background sound of the motorway about a mile away from here. You come out to the countryside and you listen to the birds and the tinkling of the brook. But you think, oh yeah, what this environment really needs is a tinny little radio playing R&B songs. That would be great, that would make this experience complete. There's been a lot of talk on YouTube about Brett Keane recently. I haven't been following the details of it, and I don't watch many of Brett's videos these days, so I have nothing to contribute towards that particular discussion. But one thing I didn't hear about, which really interested me and really put some things into perspective in a quite different way, was about Brett's age. Brett, your age. I think it was Napalm who said, they mentioned this in passing, that Brett is 34. It's so interesting the way that people present themselves as different ages. Because Brett, you come off as, I'm not saying you look older, maybe you do, I don't know, but you come off as much older. You know, you have a very avuncular kind of approach. But you're the same age, Brett, as my daughter. I have a daughter the same age as you. I just find that remarkable. You know, I can't quite do the psychic maths, you know what I mean, that I'm old enough to be Brett Keane's father. In a parallel universe, I'm your dad, Brett. Like Luke Skywalker. God, it's weird that, isn't it? Got rape? Yeah, fucking loads of it, look. Look at that fucking rape, look at it. In addition to this channel, A Conference Report, I've got a bunch of other channels that I hardly ever use. And one of them is called Conference of the Birds. Coming from a Persian poem, actually. But Bike Messenger 7, Earl, suggested recently that I should perhaps do something with that in terms, I can't remember exactly what you said, Earl, sorry. But what I've taken from that is using that channel as a place for walking and talking videos. Because the Persian poem at Conference of the Birds is about this walk that the birds go on in search of, I don't know, ultimate truth or something. But it's about walking in philosophy, that poem in a sense. Peripatetics. So I thought I'm going to kind of rebrand, if that's the right word, my Conference of the Birds channel, private the videos that are already on there, or put them upload them to here or something like that, and just use that one for walk and talk videos. But I won't load my videos on there, I'll just use it to collect favourites. But I'm going to favourite both my own and other people's. There's a few people who do walk and talk, so I've mentioned in previous videos, yourself Earl of course, Slaxer, you if you see my videos that Laura Layla pointed me to, thanks for that, Laura Layla, and thanks to Slaxer for making those kind of videos which I really like. Gary of course, but other people that make walk and talks, you know what I mean. I like the idea of us walking together somehow, of people walking together, you know, rather than sitting across computer desks looking into webcams at one another. Something very confrontational about that, isn't there? Which is good, you know, it's good. Confrontation is good sometimes. But sometimes you just want to walk alongside someone, don't you? You know, and wander off on your own for a bit, like across the stubble field, and then wander back, you know, and get involved in a kind of parallel conversation. Paralogs, let's call them. So if anybody fancies, I don't suppose this is an advert or anything really. I'll put a link to my Conference of the Birds channel if you don't know about it. It won't have anything on there, unless I haven't privated the other videos yet. But if you want to make a video or you want to suggest any videos that either yourself or other people have made, walking videos, walkie-talkie, thinky, talky stuff, you know, then I'd love to hear that, really. I want to see if I can, as I say, get a kind of walking group. It's a shame that YouTube doesn't do groups anymore, actually, because I think that would be a really nice group. You know, a walking group would be great. You know, we can walk around together, and individually but together, and show each other stuff and talk to each other about stuff. That would be really nice. But we haven't got that, so yeah, comments to the birds. Thank you very much, and good night.